I still have not found that quote that I saw the other day, which would have been the smoking gun on whether or not they shot the Walter Peck scene twice, once in New York and once in LA, of the marshmallow getting dumped on him. And I found it. I wrote down Ivan Reitman, and the quote was that they had dumped marshmallow on people in New York and dumped marshmallow on people again in LA. Well, the only person that gets marshmallow dumped on them is Walter Peck. I mean, people outside in the crowd, but I wish I could figure out what I was reading, because I've gone back and double checked all the relevant passages of Making Ghostbusters, which you can do a Control F search if you go to the PDF version that's on Spook Central. I've physically reread the entire Cinefex article, and everything else that I had looked at recently, I've gone back and reviewed, including the BAM magazine article. Cannot find it. So if I come up with that, maybe I'll do a little PS video to add to this playlist. But otherwise, I'm winding down. I don't have a whole lot else that I planned to talk about that we haven't covered yet. Another one of those weird things that you only notice when you're making a diorama is that the real street in New York had 6 lanes of traffic, but when you cut to the model street of Stay Puft walking on allegedly the same piece of property, they widened it to 8 lanes, which really makes making a diorama very tricky. When we were kids in the 70s, we had all of these World Book encyclopedias, and there were always these childcraft volumes. And in the back of one of them were plans for building a wooden model of a working hydroelectric dam. Not that it would produce electricity, but it would show you in a tabletop form the difference between water flowing straight down a valley versus water being dammed up and coming out a smaller hole in the dam. And my dad built this thing for me. It was huge. It was made of wood, and painted it green. But then I don't think we ever built the actual dam piece or put the foam rubber trees in place and everything. And there's a strong chance that it's somewhere in my mom's attic. But there's an equally strong chance that over time it eventually rotted and we were, forced to just throw the thing away. So it's sort of a Schrodinger's cat for me at the moment. I don't know whether it's there or whether it's not there. But I feel like that one was always in the back of my brain. It's like, oh, we need to finish that. We need to finish that. We need to finish that. And we never did. So actually finishing and filming for all of you my 55 Central Park West diorama maybe will scratch that little itch of a project that was abandoned. In the BAM magazine article 184 from 1984, which, by the way, Derek Osborne has now procured a copy of, so I have really good photographs of all the pages, and double-checked my transcript that I was using from older, blurrier photos, and I got pretty close. There's a great quote. It's not about the sinkhole scene. It's about when they're up on the rooftop. Watch Harold Ramis in the movie. There's a shot that I always think is ridiculous looking, where he's obviously making himself shake. And apparently the terminology for this was earthquaking. Dan Aykroyd says there was one scene where Billy was the only one doing that, and he turns around and goes, "Hey, I'm not out here doing the Hucklebuck for you guys. You guys are laying back." But it does bring to mind a couple of other quotes from various sources saying how much time was spent in New York versus how much time was spent in LA. The press kit says they shot for 1 month in New York City and then moved immediately to LA. But we can contrast that with a Making Ghostbusters quote that says that they ran out of time in New York and had to finish the shot of Venkman walking up to Dana's apartment building on the LA replica, versus a quote in the press kit where Michael C. Gross says they got out of New York 2.5 days early. So which is it? Did you run out of time, or did you leave 2.5 days early? Both of these are sources from back in the day. So again, sometimes you just have to choose your headcanon accordingly. The press kit says 15 weeks of shooting wrapped in February of 1984. That's everything, New York and LA. October 1983 to November was a month in New York City. Everything else was in LA. Cinefx page 14 says the Manhattan shoot took 3.5 weeks, with 2 nights devoted to the Spook Central shoot on a Friday night, contradicting Harold Ramis's memory of it being 3 days that they shot in Spook Central. So even though it doesn't look like any of the principal actors donned their flight suits to shoot the scene on the LA backlot reconstruction of 55 Central Park West for the Sinkhole, we do know that Bill Murray saw it because he shot the arrival for the date with Dana on that reproduction. By the way, notice in that shot, you never see the number on the police car. I bet you money that's because it was the one and only police car that they had for the LA shoot, and they didn't want you to go, hey, wait, that's the 1958 car that we. We also know from the commentary track that Harold Ramis got to see that set because he says how remarkable it was, that it resembled it so closely.
I was amazed when I saw that, when we came back to LA and saw that set, how accurate it was.
I presume at some point Dan Aykroyd, Ernie Hudson, Sigourney Weaver, everybody got to see that replica set, but they're not actually in any of the film footage that we see. And if my suspicion about the Walter Peck marshmallow dump scene being refilmed in LA is correct, then William Atherton saw that set too. There's a great description in Cinefx of exactly how the bag that they used to dump the marshmallow onto William Atherton actually worked. And I kind of want to build a scale model of that and dump some foam onto a 6-inch tall Walter Peck action figure. I haven't done that yet. When they did move to LA to start shooting on the sound stages and doing some location shooting in LA at various places, they threw a big press party, which they catered with hot dogs and brownies and vegetarian ravioli. There's tons of photos from this that I used to think were the wrap party for Ghostbusters, but it actually was the now we're in LA party. Although Bill Murray did joke that it was the wrap party because they were so far over budget.
We kind of spent a little more than we're supposed to.
Originally budgeted at $30 million, that number rose, according to Aykroyd in the BAM article, to $37 million. There's even some pretty cool video of Entertainment Tonight coming and shooting them on that set.
Dan Aykroyd and Bill Murray go ghost busting.
And Sarah Purcell takes a dive.
All for Wednesday, November 30th, 1983.
Entertainment tonight. Entertainment tonight. So you've had a very bad day. There's entertainment tonight.
Hello, everyone. I'm Ron Hendrick.
And I'm Mary Hart. It's not often you hear about $1 million movie set, but then again, it's not often you have a $30 million movie budget. Gene Wolfe has the story.
Ghostbusters had a party to celebrate the $1 million set. But what people really came to see is Dan Aykroyd and Bill Murray, 2 guys who can make people laugh and who haven't worked together since Saturday Night Live.
We have a lot of bad blood to get out from those days.
And
we're
catching up to do.
Yeah, we have a lot of catching up. It's really been a lot of fun to work together. And I don't want to get corny and emotional, but could you cut the camera for a second?
The Olympics will be competition to all films, to all other entertainment at that time.
I think it will be a nice change from the Olympics. Some athletic ghost catching.
I think as long as they don't make us take any kind of hormone test or anything like that, we'll be competitive.
His character, Dr. Venkman in the movie, is a skeptic and is not afraid of ghosts.
No, I'm not scared of ghosts.
E.T. was on the massive set of the original film in 1984.
This is my own dog right up here.
Comes alive. We're not supposed to say.
Oh! Strike that. Ghostbusters is going to be a very, very funny movie.
Absolutely. Funny, scary, thrills and chills for the whole family, and a PG rating, we hope.
And it is PG. I'm telling you, it's PG. I mean, that's got to help. I mean, PG, pink gums. I mean, the people who can come in and eat and eat and eat that sugar and popcorn and those soft drinks.
I got up and I was sort of tinkering around with things, looking at graphics that I needed to edit. And I thought I really should ask Zed Richards if I can use that newspaper clipping from Lafayette, Indiana. So I sent him a message on Facebook Messenger and I went back to editing. And he popped up and he said, "Thank you for reaching out." And he said, "Sure, yeah, go ahead and use it." So I'm like, cool. I'm working on this Sinkhole. I've been watching them. They're really well researched. I'm like, oh, thank you. So I go back to work thinking we're done, and I still had the chat box open. And I see the symbol saying that he's typing. And he pops up and he goes, "I've been thinking, this might interest you." And he sends me a picture of something in his collection of screen-used Ghostbusters props, and it is a fiberglass manhole cover from the LA replica of the Ghostbusters 55 Central Park West location. Now, to say that this excited me personally would be a huge understatement, and I'll tell you why. The night before, as I left work, I passed a manhole cover out in our parking lot, and the thought flitted through my head, you know, I never did put manholes on either of the models, the model for 55 Central Park West or the model for LA. Even though when I originally cut the styrofoam pieces, I penciled in where the blueprint said that the manhole should go. And here, Zed had just gifted me the absolute perfect graphic, a top-down view of the actual manhole cover from LA that he owns in his collection. Guess where he keeps it? It's the base for a mannequin that's wearing a race dance screen-used uniform. Now, the manhole cover says Manhattan BOR for borough, and then it says NYC sewer. So, of course, the very last thing that I said in our conversation was, if you ever plan on rehoming that particular prop, please think of me, because it literally has my name on it. So the final analysis. People tried to talk Ivan Reitman out of doing the sinkhole scene. It was going to cost $250,000. And let's look at the math. Let's look at how many scenes, even generously giving them the just desserts shot, that we know for certain were shot in LA.
We've seen all this footage before in this playlist, but this time I've added a counter so we can count the number of seconds shown. Venkman arriving for his date with Dana lasts approximately 20 seconds. Then, I've taken out all of the New York footage from the sinkhole sequence itself. So let's look at that. No New York footage. Notice you never see a real Bill Murray, real Dan Aykroyd, real Harold Ramis, or real Ernie Hudson. You just see the stuntmen and all of these extras out here playing National Guardsmen, the police, the onlookers. You've got the 1958 41 precinct car. This is sort of like unshuffling a deck of cards and taking out certain ones and putting the rest of them back together. This footage will last until the 55-second mark. And then, oh, by the way, you're going to see that blinking red light on that ambulance again. Then, the Walter Peck sequence is approximately 9 more seconds. So 20 plus 35 plus 9 gives you a grand total of 1 minute and 4 seconds shot on the LA replica.
For your information, $250,000 divided by 64 seconds is $3,906.25 per second.
But if we look at the rest of the movie's runtime, less that many seconds,
to 105 minutes times 60 seconds less 64 seconds is 6,236.
and divide that by the remaining $37 million less $250,000,
giving us $36,750,000 divided by 6,236 equals $5,893.20. So everything shot on the LA replica costs $3,906.25 per second, while the rest of the movie costs $5,893.20 per second.
Then the sinkhole sequence was actually mathematically more economical than any other scene in the movie. So I'd say Ivan Reitman was right, man.
Action. I think what's made me successful is really the other side. I really don't know how to describe it, but it's just my ability to make entertaining movies.
So I'd say that's a wrap on the Sinkhole playlist. I appreciate your patience. If you've stuck with me to the very end of this playlist, thank you so much for watching, and I invite you guys to come back and see whatever cool thing I shoot next time.